To celebrate my engagement to the princess, my notoriously frugal cousin gave me an expensive jade pendant. I, in turn, casually gifted it to a diseased old man at the local brothel. In my last life, I cherished that pendant, wearing it every single day. But not long after, I found I could no longer have children. The king, furious that I had hidden my defect, threw me in the dungeon. Even my handsome face, once my greatest pride, was now covered in dark spots, bloated and grotesque. My own adopted sister, Celia, whom I had raised, abandoned me. From the filth of the water dungeon, I begged my cousin Connor to help clear my name. Instead, I watched as he was named the new prince consort. Celia, riding his coattails, was made a lady, showered with more gold and jewels than she could count. Broken by their slander and betrayal, my health failed. I died of plague in that wretched prison. Just before the end, I overheard a conversation between Connor and Celia. Only then did I understand. It was the pendant all along. But heaven is merciful. It sent me back to the very day my cousin gave me that jade. I was reborn. Back to the day the royal engagement was announced, the day Connor gave me the pendant. Everything was exactly as I remembered. The royal decree, with the title prince consort shimmering on the scroll, lay before me. And in my cousin's hand, that same jade pendant. Well, Leo, with a talent like you in the family, our ancestors must be smiling down on us. This is for you, little brother. Congratulations, Connor said, a wide grin plastered on his face as he held out the pendant. But unlike last time, I didn't snatch it up with glee. I just stared at him, my expression cold. My direct gaze made him squirm. He forced a laugh and reached out to tie the pendant around my waist. No, thank you, Connor. It's too valuable. I can't imagine how much back-breaking labor this must have cost you. I can't just take your blood money like this. I smiled, waving it away, my voice dripping with mock concern for him. He was a petty, small-minded man. My refusal made him tremble with rage, but one look at Celia, and he quickly shifted his act, pretending to be wounded. Leo, are you saying you're embarrassed by a gift your cousin bought with his own sweat? I know. I'm not good enough for you. He even dabbed at his eyes with his sleeve, feigning tears. Leo, you can't be like this, Celia chimed in, her face a mask of worry, but her eyes sharp with disdain and a hint of malice. You'd think Connor was her brother, not mine. It's a gift from the heart. You could never do that kind of hard labor. Don't be so childish. What will people think? I let out a bitter laugh. I was such a fool in my past life, pouring my heart and soul into caring for my adopted sister. Every coin I earned, every fine meal I had, I shared with her first. And she repaid me by scheming with my cousin, a true snake in the grass. I had mistaken their treachery for love and paid the ultimate price. They wanted to act? Fine. Two can play at that game. I quickly took the pendant, clutching it tightly in my hand as if I were overcome with guilt. I bowed my head, my voice thick with remorse. No, Connor, of course I'm not ashamed of you. I was just worried about you. I promise I'll treasure this always. Good boy, Leo. It's no trouble at all. Just be sure to wear it every day, you hear? A fine piece like this nurtures its owner. Wear it always. Seeing that I'd taken it, Connor beamed, repeating his instructions. I looked up at his phony expression and nodded emphatically. In my past life, I had listened to him. I wore that pendant day and night. But I never had a single good night's sleep. My hair fell out in clumps, dark spots bloomed across my skin, and eventually I had problems, down there. The strange sickness came on so fast it terrified me, so I went to see a doctor. The moment I got the diagnosis, the royal decree came crashing down on me. The doctor's report confirmed I was impotent. The king was enraged. The princess hated me for my deceit. They threw me in the dungeon. Without me, the family I'd single-handedly supported fell into chaos. My parents were long gone, and I was the pillar holding up our great house. I scraped together every last penny I had and gave it to a guard, hoping for just one meeting with Connor to prove this strange illness wasn't my fault, that I wasn't a liar. But the ones who came to see me were a dolled-up Celia and a smug-looking Connor. Celia, someone set me up. Please, you have to go to the royal treasurer for me. If the king will just allow me to be treated, the truth will come out. My life depends on it. I was a pathetic mess in my prison rags, tears streaming down my face the moment I saw my adopted sister. I was racked with guilt. My imprisonment would surely ruin her marriage prospects. Who could have known she would shed her gentle, virtuous act and point a finger right at my nose, screaming, "Leo, you jinx. Look at the ugly state you're in. You brought this all on yourself, you greedy fool, lying about being impotent just to marry up. And now you're trying to drag me down with you? Let me tell you why I'm here. To cut all ties. If I looked like you right now, I'd have drowned myself in a latrine bucket by now." Celia scoffed, hands on her hips. The glittering jewelry she wore only made her shine brighter, making me look like a filthy insect by comparison. Cough cough. Then why are you wearing my mother's dowry? I choked out, my eyes bloodshot as I questioned her. She didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. Instead, she thrust her hand, nails painted a sharp red, through the bars and clawed at my face. Your mother should be honored I'm wearing her things. I haven't even complained about how old her junk is. You were born cursed, fated to bring misery to everyone. You can just rot in here and die. She laughed coldly, then swiveled her hips and walked away. I slowly wiped the blood from my cheek with my tattered sleeve, unable to understand how the sweet, gentle Celia I knew had become this monster. It wasn't until Connor's visit that the final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. He was dressed in fine silks. His once pudgy, blotchy face was now lean and strikingly handsome, like a celestial being descended to earth. "Connor, what happened to you?" I stared, my eyes wide with disbelief. Just then, a guard addressed him as my lord. "Ah yes. The king has personally appointed me prince consort. I came to share the good news. And look at you. What a wreck. You can't even get it up, and you had the nerve to dream of marrying the princess? Pathetic." Connor's eyes were full of contempt, his mocking words stabbing me like daggers. "Connor, I was framed. Get me out of here. I have proof of my innocence." I gripped the bars, swallowing the bitterness in my throat, hoping he would help me. "Enough. Help you. Leo, you deserve this. You were a jinx to your parents, and now you've finally jinxed yourself." Connor's eyes bulged, his face contorting with rage as he spat at me. "Why did everyone love you growing up? Why did the princess single you out? All because you had a healthy body and a pretty face. Why was I the one who got his junk bitten by that dog as a kid, and not you? But it's all better now. Thanks to your body, I'm the prince consort. You can die in this dark, wet hole. In your next life, try coming back as a pig or a cow. I'd love to taste your flesh." The more he spoke, the more agitated he became. He folded his arms, turned, and walked away, laughing hysterically. I was completely crushed by the two people I trusted most. My legs gave out, and I collapsed to the floor in a daze. I finally understood. Connor had been jealous of me his whole life, hated me, even blamed me for the dog that had neutered him. Then, on Connor's orders, the guards released a horde of starving, red-eyed rats into my cell. And so, I died of plague in that dungeon. But now, I slowly clenched my fist around the jade pendant that had been my doom, and I gave Celia and Connor a brilliant smile. "Celia, Connor, I have some important business to take care of. I'll see you both at dinner." Hearing that I was leaving, the two of them exchanged a quick, furtive glance, then practically shoved me out the door, their delight poorly hidden. I smiled, had an identical pendant forged, and then took the one Connor gave me to the brothel. As soon as I arrived, I handed a thick stack of bills to a floor worker and smiled. "I want the ugliest, most disgusting man you have. Preferably one with some kind of disease." The man's brow furrowed in disgust, but his eyes were glued to the money in my hand. He swallowed hard and led me to the back courtyard. "Sir, this is him. A eunuch who escaped from the palace years ago." I looked at the man before me, blind in one eye, with a limp, a mouth full of yellow teeth, and a face oozing with pus. I smiled, turned, and stuffed the rest of the bills into the worker's hands. "He's perfect." I bestowed the pendant upon the old eunuch. He kowtowed wildly, a frantic stream of thank yous spilling from his lips. "It's my cousin who should be thanking you," I murmured. "I'm sure he'll be thrilled with this grand gift." With the gift delivered, I hurried to a renowned physician to get myself checked out. When he confirmed that my virility was not only fine but well above average, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then, I went to the royal table, the same restaurant where Celia had squandered my money in our past life, and treated myself to a feast. I waited until well after the dinner hour had passed before I leisurely made my way home. Leo, where have you been? We waited for you for dinner, and now everything's cold. Celia snapped, her brow furrowed. I glanced at the picked-over scraps on the table and sneered internally. More like you finished eating and left me the leftovers. Connor's face was grim. He slammed his hand on the table. Punctuality is a scholar's most important virtue. What if the king had summoned you? Would you have kept him waiting too? The truth is, you just don't care about us. Connor was clearly furious. I knew he and Celia had just tried to have a tumble, only for him to find he still couldn't perform. But he didn't let it show, instead feigning a look of sorrow. Oh, Connor, don't even talk about it. The king really has summoned me in half a month. I hope it's not because something is wrong with the princess. I don't know what's wrong with me, I just feel so dizzy and weak all the time. I showed them the dark circles I'd carefully painted under my eyes. As expected, his mood brightened instantly. Don't worry about it. You'll find out what the king wants soon enough. Just try to get more sleep. You're right. I look terrible compared to you, Connor. Have you lost weight? You look slimmer. I forced a smile and complimented him. He looked down at his own body in surprise, and sure enough, his paunch had shrunk. Yes. I must be eating less lately. I've slimmed down. He roared with laughter, completely oblivious to the fact that another, more important part of him was quietly shrinking away. That night, I threw all my treasured erotic art and forbidden books out of my room. Sure enough, I soon heard the familiar voices of Connor and Celia. Looks like he's already impotent. This pendant really works. I feel like there's a warm current flowing through me. Lying in bed, I heard their words and a slow smile spread across my face. Oh yes, the pendant is working all right. And the best part is yet to come. I didn't see Connor for days, until I spotted a familiar figure at a clinic on the outskirts of the city. Connor? What are you doing here? I clapped him on the back and called his name softly. He jumped when he saw it was me and shot to his feet, his eyes boring into me as if trying to see right through my soul. How have you been feeling lately? Hearing his question, I immediately frowned. Don't ask, Connor. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't sleep, my hair is falling out in clumps, and I'm starting to get these dark red sores on my face. Ugh, and I have to see the king soon. What am I going to do? Seeing my miserable expression and the ghastly sores I'd painted on my skin, and feeling how his own skin was becoming smoother by the day, Connor finally relaxed. He decided the itching he'd been experiencing down there must have just been from something he ate. Soon, the summons from the king arrived. The capital was a long journey, and it was a month before I saw Connor again. Leo, how are you still you? Connor and Celia's jaws nearly hit the floor when they saw me looking not just the same, but even more handsome and distinguished than before. Oh, and how, in your opinion, should I look, Connor? I stood tall, looking down at him. He was now hunched over, his voice had become a high-pitched squeak, and he walked with a pronounced limp. Did the king say anything to you? Did you pass the palace's physical exam? He glared at me with one cloudy eye, his words laced with venomous suspicion. The exam? The princess was very pleased. She even secured me a 5th-rank official position. From this day on, I'm a man of the court. You should be bowing to me now, Connor. I smiled, patting his shoulder again and again. His eyes were filled with doubt, and he muttered under his breath, "Impossible. That's impossible. You were wearing." Celia, seeing me in perfect health, was also confused. The next second, a man covered in lice was thrown out of the brothel. It was the eunuch, wearing clothes identical to Connor's. He was writhing on the ground, shouting, "It grew back. I'm a man again. I can have children." I had to cover my mouth to keep from laughing. In an instant, Connor spotted the jade pendant on the eunuch. He shrieked at me in his shrill voice, "Leo, are you insane? Why? Why is that old eunuch wearing the pendant?" Seeing the writhing eunuch on the ground, Connor finally understood that the man was the cause of his own hideous transformation. His piercing shrieks hurt my ears. I widened my eyes, feigning confusion. "I don't know, Connor. I always keep the pendant with me. But it did go missing after I went to the brothel looking for you that one time. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to upset you. It looks like this old man must have found it. I gave that pendant to you. He's wearing it, and now I look like him." Connor stared at me, his red-rimmed eyes full of accusation. I narrowed my own eyes and shot back. "What's that supposed to mean, Connor? Why would you look like him just because he's wearing it?" At my words, Celia's face instantly paled. She quickly seized on the fact that Connor had been at a brothel and tried to change the subject. "Celia, no. I would never go to a brothel. I have my principles. I never go to such filthy, disgusting places. The women in there are used goods. I find them repulsive." Connor hobbled on his one good leg over to Celia, proclaiming his loyalty and innocence at the top of his lungs. In his current state, his shouting just made him look like a posturing toad. "Well, that's rich," the brothel madam cackled, waving a handkerchief. A mole on her face jiggled as she spoke. "Calling our girls dirty. Little man, I don't know if your new lady friend knows you can't get it up, but every girl in my establishment knows all about the great Connor's glorious achievements. The man's so limp he can't even climb into bed. Ha 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 ha." In a flash, the entire crowd, including the girls from the brothel, erupted in laughter. "You're lying. You're lying." Connor's face turned the color of dirt. He stammered, trying to defend himself as more and more people pointed and jeered at him. He forgot all about the stunned Celia beside him and limped away as fast as he could. That evening, I took the fake jewelry I'd bought and knocked on Celia's door. "Are you here to laugh at me? Now everyone knows Connor is impotent. The whole family is shamed. Who will ever marry me now?" Celia opened the door, her eyes red as she glared at me, full of resentment. "Stop crying. It's true that Connor's situation shouldn't be public knowledge, but don't worry, it won't affect your marriage prospects. Look, the princess heard I had a younger sister and sent these for you." I pulled a wooden box from my sleeve and opened it to reveal it was filled to the brim with gold jewelry. Celia's eyes went wide, her mouth agape at the glittering gold. Her hands moved on their own, snatching the box from me. "Oh, I really shouldn't," she mumbled, even as she bit down hard on a piece of gold, her greed plain to see. "You're my little sister. Of course you deserve these things." I smiled gently. Dressed in a dark blue robe, bathed in the moonlight, my handsome features made me look like a god. Paired with my newfound power and status, Celia's resolve wavered. "Leo, I knew you were the best to me. Don't pay any mind to what I said to help Connor earlier. His problem is his own fault, not yours. I'll always be on your side." I watched Celia's fake smile and felt a smirk tug at my own lips. She probably had no idea that Connor was watching everything from the shadows nearby. Dog eat dog. This was the best part. Sure enough, the next morning, Connor rushed to return the jade pendant he had retrieved. He blocked my doorway, a sycophantic grin on his face as he held it out. "Leo, this is a token of my heart. I'm not mad that you lost it last time, but you must wear it at all times now, especially when you meet the princess. It's a high-class item. It will give you an air of importance, right?" Connor smiled, but his eyes were full of venom. I took the pendant and smiled right back at him. "Don't worry, I'll wear it always." "But Connor, how did you know I was meeting the princess again so soon? Have you been doing some digging?" My question hit its mark. He rubbed his hands together awkwardly and switched to playing the sympathy card. "Oh, Leo, after your parents died, I was the one who took care of you, gave you the best of everything, even raised Celia, who isn't even our blood. I'm already 25, Connor. I'd like to start a family too. Do you think the princess might take a special interest in me?" Hearing his words, I laughed coldly to myself. His pathetic ambitions were laid bare, and he had the gall to scheme about the princess right in front of me. A toad lusting after a swan. But I played along. "Connor, I'll take you with me to the selection. That way, even if the princess isn't interested, she might introduce you to some other noble ladies." As expected, a huge grin spread across his greasy face. I clapped him on the shoulder, and we laughed together. Inside, I thought, "You want to go to the palace? I'll make sure you never leave." 10 days later, the day of the audience with the king and princess arrived. As promised, I brought Connor and Celia with me to the palace. By now, Connor's face was no longer grotesque, his skin was smooth and rosy. But his weight had skyrocketed. His belly strained against his robes like rising dough. Of course, the thing he was most thrilled about was that his equipment was working like a normal man's again. He'd been spending every night in Celia's room. Seeing the jade pendant hanging from my waist, he was certain it was all thanks to the curse working its magic. Inside the throne room, the king sat on his high throne, with the princess to his left. Connor and I knelt on the floor. Leo, raise your head. At the king's command, I slowly looked up. A handsome lad, and educated too. My Rose must have seen more in you than just that. I kept my head raised, kneeling properly and kowtowed in thanks for the king's praise. Then, after a persistent nudge from Connor, I spoke softly. Your Majesty, I have brought my family with me today. My cousin wished to behold the glory of the true dragon. The king chuckled at my flattery and permitted Connor to speak. Connor, given permission, was ecstatic and bowed repeatedly to the throne. Your Majesty, this commoner has something of grave importance to report. Though Leo is my brother, I cannot bear to see him deceive your Majesty. I have come with him today to perform a righteous act, even if it means turning on my own family, to save the princess from a terrible fate. Connor's words made me suck in a sharp breath. I looked at him in disbelief. He met my gaze with a cruel smile and continued, the truth Leo has hidden from your Majesty and the princess is that he is, in fact, impotent. This is a grave offense, your Majesty. His words were firm and clear. A sudden, sharp silence fell over the great hall. The king slammed his hand on the arm of the throne, and the force of it sent a stack of scrolls tumbling to the floor. Insolence. The palace has strict rules. Connor, you will not speak such slander. The princess's pretty face was clouded with worry. Her eyes shot to me. Leo, you dared to deceive me? Is what Connor says true? I want to hear it from your own lips. I met the princess's gaze and opened my mouth, but was cut off by Connor. Your Majesty, here is the proof. I found this in Leo's room. He pulled a yellowed prescription from his robes, along with a ledger detailing my monthly expenses at the apothecary. Your Majesty, this is accurate. This is medicine for treating impotence. And based on these monthly payments, the expense is quite large. The condition must be severe, the royal physician, Dr. Zhang, reported, stroking his beard as he presented the evidence to the king. He looked at me with pity and sympathy. Connor grinned triumphantly, his nose twitching with excitement. With Dr. Zhang's testimony, no denial of mine would matter. He then clapped his hands confidently, signaling for Celia to bring forward the certificate from my last physical exam at the palace. Celia, I'm your brother. You said you would always be on my side. Why are you slandering me like this? I stared at her, my voice urgent, as she walked step by step toward the Grand Eunuch. But she looked at me with righteous fury. Pa, you are no brother of mine. Deceiving the king is a capital crime. Don't you dare try to drag me down with you. Besides, Connor told me all that jewelry you gave me was fake. You're a liar. You can lie to us, but I will not allow you to deceive His Majesty and the princess. Your Majesty, this certificate from his last exam is a forgery. He was bitten by a dog as a child, he's impotent. Celia's speech was impassioned. If I weren't the one kneeling on the floor, I would have stood up and applauded. The king's rage grew. The princess threw her cup at me. Everyone looked at me with either pity or amusement. I lowered my head and awaited my sentence. Leo, second son of the House of Gu, for deceiving the crown and lusting after wealth and status, your crime is unpardonable. Guards, drag him out and execute him. The king's angry verdict sealed my fate. But I felt no panic as I rose calmly from the floor. I brushed off the non-existent dust from my clothes. I knew this was my moment to turn the tables. Your Majesty, I ask for a physical examination by Dr. Zhang to prove my innocence. Because the one who is truly impotent is not me, but my cousin Connor. My words sent Connor into a rage. He forgot all decorum and shouted, "It's you. Leo, don't you dare try to frame me. The proof is all here, and you still have the nerve to deny it." The king's brow furrowed as he looked between me and Connor, his face a mask of fury. But for the sake of the royal family's dignity and the princess's feelings, he finally let out a sigh and waved a hand at Dr. Zhang. Go. Examine them both. I want to see who is truly lying to me. If I find any more deceit, I will have them killed on the spot." Hearing this, Connor looked a little nervous, his eyes darting around. But when he glanced at Celia, her look of excited encouragement bolstered his confidence that the life swap had been a success. "Helio, if you beg for forgiveness now, perhaps the king will spare your life," Connor sneered at me, rolling up his sleeve to offer his wrist to the doctor. "Is that so, Connor? We'll see who has the last laugh." I turned my head to meet his gaze and offered my own wrist to Dr. Zhang. The doctor took both our pulses simultaneously. Within moments, beads of sweat broke out on his forehead. He then fell to his knees in terror. Your Majesty, Leo's pulse is not that of an impotent man. But Connor's. What is it? Spit it out," the princess cried, her eyes wide with a flicker of hope. "Connor's pulse is not that of a man. It's the pulse of a pig." Now it was Connor's turn to be stunned. He looked at the jade pendant I was still wearing and started screaming. "Impossible. You're wearing the pendant. It should be me who's normal, and you who's impotent. That's not right. Dr. Zhang, you misread my pulse. Check it again." He was raving like a madman, waving his arms and shouting at the doctor. I watched his meltdown and just smiled, dangling the pendant from my fingers. "Oh, you mean this? It's a fake. The real one is over there." I mimicked his earlier gesture and clapped my hands. Soon, a giant breeding boar was led into the hall, and around its fat neck was the real jade pendant. "What a shame. You really are an idiot, Connor. All this time you thought you were cured, but it was just the boar getting busy. You should thank me, cousin. Not everyone gets to be both a eunuch and a breeding pig." I paused, then turned my gaze to the corner of the hall. "Oh, and by the way, Celia, how does it feel to be sleeping with a pig?" Celia's face turned ashen. She clapped a hand over her mouth and began to retch violently, as if she were trying to vomit up her own lungs. "Leo, you knew all along. You were playing me. You've been playing me this whole time." By now, even an idiot like Connor could see what had happened. His eyes turned bloodshot as he lunged at me and grabbed the front of my robes. I shoved him to the ground, planted my foot on his chest, and leaned in close to his ear. "That's right. I was playing you. So what? I'll kill you. I'll kill you." Connor thrashed on the floor like a man possessed. He pulled a dagger from his boot and, breaking free from my foot, charged straight at me. "Protect the king. Guards. Guards." The hall descended into chaos. Celia ran over, trying to help Connor, but ended up tripping him instead. The dagger flew from his hand and, by some cruel twist of fate, plunged directly into the side of the breeding boar. Oink! The boar let out a piercing squeal, blood gushing from the wound. At the exact same moment, Connor screamed and collapsed to the floor, clutching his own side as blood poured from an identical spot. By the grace of heaven, so decrees the king. Connor, first son of the House of Gu, is guilty of high treason, the practice of witchcraft, and conspiracy to murder the prince consort. He is sentenced to be drawn and quartered. The adopted daughter, Celia, as his accomplice, is hereby sentenced to 30 years of service in the royal laundries. So it is ordered. Connor lay weakly on the floor, accepting his final judgment, his eyes empty and staring into the distance. I knelt to receive the decree on their behalf, a smile spreading across my lips. "Well now, my lord prince consort, don't celebrate just yet. You haven't received your own rewards," the grand eunuch said, his voice high and thin as he smiled at me. He then produced another scroll, this one for me. "His Majesty, in gratitude for Leo's service in protecting the crown and uncovering a vile sorcery, hereby bestows upon him the rank of 5th rank minister, along with a pair of white jade cups, 30 bolts of cloud silk brocade, a pair of white cloud-stitched boots. Dressed in my new official robes, I rode in my palanquin out of the palace. I gazed at the white clouds in the distance, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. But the next second, a familiar voice shattered my perfect mood. "Brother Leo, it's me, Celia. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have listened to Connor. Brother, you always took the best care of me." I narrowed my eyes and looked down. A woman in tattered rags, her hair like dry straw and her fingernails black with dirt, was kneeling on the ground, kowtowing and begging me. Who are you? I'm sorry, I don't have a sister. She died the day she first betrayed me. I smiled faintly and waved my hand, signaling the bearers to move on. Celia was left behind, running after the palanquin, her wails of desperation echoing in the air. I rubbed my temples and closed my eyes. A moment later, a sharp-eyed guard muffled Celia's mouth and dragged her away. So this is the taste of power, I sighed to myself. Everyone wants to overthrow the throne, but what they truly covet is the power that comes with it. Thankfully, in this life, I was no longer the pathetic Leo of the past. Hurry along. The princess is waiting for me in the gardens. The end.